We're going. All right, everybody, welcome. We finally got Dave on live. I've had to use my phone instead of my laptop. Dave, we'll wait here a few minutes, get some people on live. I appreciate you taking another Wednesday night to jump on with us. Kind of
Don't
tell us.
worry. The doctor is sending you a bill for her being here, being my IT person.
Oh gosh, I don't think I want a veterinarian bill.
After hours on top of it.
Oh shoot! Tell her I owe you.
She don't do IOUs.
All right, Dave. We got a few people on here right now. Kind of give us what you had going on since the Racelogic class there at your shop. We'll kind of talk about how that went and what projects you're working on and all them kind of good things.
Okay. Well, since the class, we've really ramped up and added a hell of a lot more product to our inventory. Also started manufacturing for the late models some new spindles. As I preach in the class, it doesn't matter which classes it is. If the ball joint holes don't line up, why are you using it? And I'm building my own late model, which we're really close to go test. And I want to get that done hopefully this week or weekend so I can start testing. And I was buying spindles for it and couldn't find spindles worth a damn. So we spent a tremendous amount of time and we designed a new spindle, and our final process after assembly and welding of the spindle, the very last thing we do is drill and ream the ball joint holes so they're perfectly square from one to the other. It was a hell of an undertaking to do, but we finally got that done, and really interesting. I'm not going to name names, but man, it's been pretty interesting. The car builders that have been calling me and wanting me to start doing some spindle stuff for them. So really looking into that. Been, other than that, it was just trying to keep up with the workload and can't find employees. I don't know what the hell to do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not sure who it is. I can't see, but somebody said, I wish I lived out there. I'd hit Dave up for a job, but I live on the wrong side of the country.
Get your ass here. It's that simple.
That's right. Move to Iowa.
Just move. That's all you got to do. So I want to see if I can. Here we go. Who was that? Oh, that was Mikey that said that. Yeah, all you got to do, Mikey, is jump on an airplane. You know where it's at. Just get out here. So,
yeah, I know we've talked a lot, and I know help's been a big issue for you. You know, to really do what you'd like to do, you just got to kind of use what you got. I think, you know, for as help.
right.
You know, I guess living part of Iowa you live in is probably a little harder to find machine operators and stuff than maybe in a big city, I guess.
Well, we've got the big cities right here, and the problem is you can go down to John Deere. These people think that's what you got to do, which that's fine. I understand it, but it's hard to find people who just want to work in the race industry. So many of them just want to stay at home and collect a check and not do a damn thing. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, it's that way, you know, in any kind of business anymore. We'll talk a little bit about the class, Dave. I know I've sent you a bunch of posts. We've had a lot of wins, and you know, I'm sure these guys were good anyway that are winning. But man, they just you know, a couple of guys out on the West Coast, Oregon guys, won some races and said that they learned some key details. Yeah, I think it's Craig Osborne, I believe is who it was, and you know, he just said he learned some key details in a class that made his car better than it's ever been. So, you know, it ain't always you go to one of these deals and then all of a sudden you're 20th place car, now you're winning races. You know, usually it's the small things that you figure out that makes you even better.
And that's just it. I preach it in the class. You get out of it what you put into it. So, in a lot of these people, they need to learn to use their right foot. there's so many of them are throttle smashers, and you're not going to go nowhere. But I went to my first race to watch Saturday night and saw one of our class guys there, Jacob Ellithorpe. He went there and he got up on the wheel and kicked their ass. It was pretty cool. So that was
he was another one I know it's done really well. And I mean, there's been several others that's told me, some guys in Missouri, I think, and this guy in Arkansas. So a lot of good stuff, a lot of good feedback. I know we learned even more what to do next year. I've talked to the Murdies a little bit, and we're just going to try to keep adding, a few different elements to this deal to make it even better. I mean, I know we're always thinking what we can do to help the class. And you had talked about some different hands-on type stuff that you were looking at doing when we go back.
Yeah, I'm actually want to take that red clip that we had on that cart, and I want to put it on a stand where we can spin it 360 degrees around. So when I want to talk about squareness in the drag links, we can turn it so it's a better visual and not be so cumbersome to move around. And then we can also be able to turn it and have it right side up so they can see stuff. So, but that Murdy's, that was pretty awesome there. I really liked working with them. And I tell you, this year, working with the Murdy's and even going up to Pennsylvania there, man, that class up there was phenomenal too. And, Matt and Steve and you got
Ben.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sitting here, Seuss, talking and getting me distracted here. I'm sorry.
She's adding that bill up, Dave, for me.
Oh, hell yeah. But, everybody that was up there, that was really good. And I tell you, we need to figure out how to get the more interactive with the class. That Pennsylvania was like the best interactive class we ever had. It was decent here, but that Pennsylvania one, that was really good, the way the drivers and crew members asked questions. And, even though I'm on the staff to help teach, I learned something every time. So it's really
well. Something I've kicked around, Dave, and I hadn't really even talked about it a lot, is I think maybe the stock car deal, maybe we had a few too many people. I had so many people begging to get in. I hated to shut it off, but it may be a possibility. I cut back a few heads next year, and so guys are a little more comfortable. It seemed like a smaller class seems to get more interaction, but unfortunately, too small of a class don't pay the bills, and I really don't want to charge too much, for a less number of people being there. I hate to charge what would take to pay for everything. Cause as you're in business, everybody looks and think, oh, you had X amount of people and you charged $399, you made, $30,000 or whatever. And and I know that that's not the case. I mean, there's expenses, travel and, paying the Murdies and, paying for all the food and all that kind of stuff. So, at the end of,
you got to look at it too. A lot of your venues you go to, you got to pay building rent.
True.
That's why I said do it here. So that way you didn't have to pay rent, but that works out. It helps you. So then you can take that money that you would have spent and put it elsewhere to help with the school. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really think maybe, hindsight, we may cut back some of the number next year, and try to, have a few less people. I think it'd be a little more interactive. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dave. I think maybe part of the reason that stock car class was a little less interactive, I think maybe Wade does such a good job on that book that a lot of the details were in there this year, to where the years past it was vague.
Wade hit it out of the park. It's pretty cool getting to work with everybody that's with the staff. It ain't just Wade, but I mean, it's everybody. You got Bilbrey. It doesn't matter who. It's just really good group of people to work with. And I think we all have good chemistry amongst each other. And the one thing too, that I really like about it is I might have an idea how I want to do something. But the next person has a different way, and we don't have conflicts or stuff like that. It just, I mean, we can actually bounce off ideas off each other's, and I think that's real beneficial. So, but
yeah, that's right. And you know, for the first year of both of the Murdy's doing it, I thought they done a great job. You know, Dallin is, you know, he was still in high school at the time, and you know, he stepped out and kind of maybe out of his comfort zone a little bit, and really brought a lot to the table. And I think year two will even be better. You know, with them guys once they kind of seen how everything flows, I think it'll even be better. You know, we'll sell that deal out again in a week or two, like we've done last year. I think the Murdy kid, I think he broke the other night for that 5,000, but you know, he's won probably over half the races he's entered this year. So, you know, the kid's still him, and well, Dad won the other night too in a big race. So, they're still on the top of their game, and so I mean, there's definitely something that everybody can learn from.
Didn't Shyrock win that $5,000, which is another speaker that you've had at your classes?
Yeah, he did. He started up front, and he's always fast. I've watched him at Boone at different places. Yeah, he's a guy that's been racing a long time, and he was good. But Damon and Dallin, I haven't talked to them, but I know they both DNF'd, and which is unusual for them guys. So I don't know if they got in a wreck or what happened. But you know, in another edition, we'll talk about a little bit this year is the Cruza stock car deal down south. I know. Me and you talked about it last year. We kind of took a year off from that deal, and you came to me and said, "Hey, Brian, why don't you look at Chad Thrash?" And I knew Chad, and naturally, he's won most of the big races out there in that type of car. And so, anyway, got with Chad, and man, he was all on board, and we're going to be down there this year too. So that's going to be another. I mean, I could have already sold 30, 40 seats the day I announced it, and I won't take money that early. So that's going to be another good class. Chad's he's a realistic guy, and wants to help. And I think what he does, his program is more suited to what you and Wade and Robbie and everybody does. You know, I mean, he's a lot about, you know, maintenance, getting the car, you know, just not going out doing crazy stuff, you know. So I think it's going to be a good class, don't you?
I do. And the other thing there is I've seen Chad's cars in person. I'm going to tell you that is some super high quality cars, and something that you're proud to be affiliated with. So,
yeah, you know, you look at a man's work usually and tell about, you know, how he runs his business and his personal life and everything. And he's a top notch guy, and hopefully he's listening. But I'm really looking forward to that one. I had a lot of people reach out to me and want to be a part of that deal, so that's going to be another one. And I'm looking forward to that. I know, you know, a lot of guys come to the IMCA deal because, you know, a lot of it still is close to what they do, but this will open up another door for all them guys out east and down south to be able to have their own, you know, their own class or their own type car. So that's going to be that'll be another one's going to sell out in just a few days. So I think we got two big deals there. And then, you know, we'll just kind of look. We had, you know, it's early yet on what we're going to look at next year, but hopefully it'll be, you know, hopefully we'll maybe throw something else in there. It's just so hard, you know, Dave. You were talking about it. You go to several shows during the year, off season. And, you know, Ben's gone a lot. It's just hard to get everybody on board there to be able to do it. You know, you only got a handful of weekends.
I'm not going to bash PRI, but I'm not going this year. I've already turned my booth in, and I actually hollered at Bad Brad there to see if he wanted my booth location. I got one hell of a location, but I'm just not going to go this year. I'm going to focus. I'm going to go down and do Kate Dillon's show in Hickory, which Kate does our filming, and she does the website stuff for us. And I'm going to do her stuff. And then later on in Knoxville, Tennessee, J.A. Aki from the Outside Groove has got a trade show. I'm going to go down and do that show. I've been kicking around the idea of doing up to Syracuse or Philadelphia show, but I just keep looking at that map, and there's 3 damn lakes I got to drive by, and it's wintertime. I don't want to get stuck in snow. I think we got awful lucky when we went to PA and drove by 2 of those lakes and didn't get stuck in snow this year.
Yeah, that time of the year, you never know about the weather, what it can end up like. So, yeah, we got a busy. I mean, we'll have a busy off season and busy year. And
Well, the other thing too that's really puts a damper in it is these race promoters. They're basically taking that Christmas off, and that's about it. Then they're getting the racing to where it's year round, and that makes it a lot harder to schedule stuff. I mean, you think about this: when we were in PA, they were down in was that Georgia or Florida racing, and
yeah,
it makes a real pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Chad about too. He was, a lot of whatever date we choose with him is going to revolve around the Florida deal.
Well, that
the Ice Bowl. Yep, and then Florida starts up because he runs a super late model some too, and the stock car deal. But I forgot what track is it that's going to be running their last. This is the last year going to be racing.
East Bay,
Florida. East Bay. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, East Bay's going to be in there. So yeah, you start narrowing your weekends down of when to do it. But we'll figure out something that works for everybody, and we'll get back on board.
It's pretty easy to work around where Kate's trade show is because she can't do a school with us. She's going to do her school, obviously, and that's where I'm going to be. Really enjoy going down there to Hickory, North Carolina. It's 900-mile drive for me, but I like it, and it's really good for me. So, and then
right,
that Knoxville deal, that's probably what the hell is that? Probably 800 miles, 775, but it's still really good down that way. And
how many miles in Mississippi when we go down there?
I think that's 14 hours for me, but and then I got to be careful and hope the Mississippi ain't flooding down by St. Louis or anything and have I-55 closed like it's happened before.
Yeah.
So, down around Peevely area there, the interstate can get flooded pretty easy. And I've done that in the wintertime where I've went down I-55 to go to Mississippi and then have to go east and instead of doing 55, come up 65 because the interstate was closed. So
yeah, the weather can definitely play a part in what we do. We've kind of been fortunate. We've dodged tornadoes, and if you remember Alabama that year, it was a tornado about 3 miles down the road in January.
Yeah, and thank goodness it didn't hit that because that shed that we were in, it wouldn't have saved much.
No, we'd have been scattered out across Alabama down there. But so just you saying earlier, I know you're working on the spindle and just trying to keep up with the rest of your stuff. And also, if anybody's got any questions, throw them out here real quick to Dave. If you got something you want to ask him. I know we were talking the other night. You was talking about the air cleaners. It's just crazy how many that you sell of them. And
yeah, we're doing a deal there. Like we've probably got somewhere around 350, 400 air cleaners, maybe a few more. And then we've making that double O-ring sure seal. We go from 1/2 inch all the way up to 4-inch and 1/2 inch increments. So, and that 4-inch tall seal has been real good for the cars down in the Carolinas that run 4 cylinders and the carburetor's off to the right side so they can get the air cleaner up out of the hood. I've got a new air cleaner stud coming out. So if you want to run my air cleaner and the Walker 4-inch or the Walker 5-inch filter, you can do that. I've got a new double O-ring sure seal coming out for just the Walker filter itself. My 1-inch and above fit no problem, but my 1/2 inch seal does not fit that Walker. So we're designing one to fit their base as well. So, and I really think that between them and us, we're the 2 main air cleaner manufacturers in the country. So,
yeah, I know you still do a lot of rear ends. I see them all the time. It's a pretty big part of what you do.
I just sold today a couple more hobby stock rears. We're actually in the process. I'm building another new jig for the rear end so we can start building rear ends and change the toe in the rear ends. Or we can do camber, which I really hate camber on dirt, but I need a different jig for building different toes. So we're in the process of doing that. And then we've just been building more jigs, trying to get things more streamlined in here. So
yeah, a lot of good stuff there for sure. I'll jump off subject a minute, but we were talking about Wade earlier, and somebody said the book was amazing. Wade did a great job, and we agreed to that.
Yeah.
He spent lots of hours and time because he always said he wanted to do that, and I put the heat on him when we went out on the Murdy deal. I said, Wade, you're going to have to help me, and he spent 2 or 3 months, because he's not a PowerPoint presentation guy. He bought a new computer and learned all that himself, and went in and done all that.
What I like about Wade is he can teach himself how to do things, and that's in life. That's very important. You got to be able to teach yourself how to do something, and there's not many Wades out there in this world, and that's too bad because we could use more of them. And it's just like Wade or Robbie, or I really do feel like Ben too. I mean, I can get up and call them people anytime and talk to them, and they help me out. And each and every one of the people in our class has helped, even on my new car. And when we take it outside and do the photo shoot for it, I'm going to make sure that each and every one of them is, when I do the video for it, is mentioned in there for their help. And, I've been able to bounce a lot of ideas off of different people, and it's pretty cool. So. Yeah,
for sure. Wade is one of a kind. I mean, probably one of the most humble, him and the Murdys too. Just they don't realize really what they mean to a lot of people, which that's what I respect out of them. Never had a big head, never, they won't talk about themselves. And Wade is probably one that really don't want to talk about Wade Cross, and Robbie's the same way. Robbie, I've got to know him the last few years, and man, what a guy. He'll always be the smartest guy in the room. That, and I know that, and a lot of people out there probably don't know that, but he never lets you know that. He don't want anybody to know what he does for a living.
You think about this. We're at McCree's shop, and I met Robbie about a month before or 2 months before at PRI, and then I was standing up there in front of the class just before it started, and I looked out and I saw Bilbrey on the front row, and I looked over and I said, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I tell you, he very politely told me and corrected. He goes, "I'm here to learn too." And I figure he's probably the smartest guy in the industry. I mean, he is. For what he does, I mean, his day job's phenomenal, but then what he does on the side for, Bill Stein's phenomenal too. And he was there to learn when we were at McCree's, and then the following year he was on the other side of the table and up there with us. And when Robbie speaks, you listen, because the guy's always got great information.
Yeah, he does a lot behind the scenes with Bill Stein, and him and Wade are good friends, and that's what and that's Wade's mentioned that. He's like, man, Robbie's never held anything back. If I got a question on something that I'm kind of wondering, he said, I've called Robbie and he'll tell me anything he knows, and you don't always see shock builders do that. One of them scared the other one's going to do something different, but they both know that they got their own niche, market, and they're there to help each other out. So they've done a great job with that. Them too.
That when I met Robbie for the first time, I knew of who he was, but when he come in my booth at PRI, I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. He took time out to come meet me, and now I'm very honored to have him as one of my friends. So
yeah, neat guy. I mean, like I said, I could call him right now and we could talk about football, or we could talk about life, or kind of like me and you do, whatever's there. I mean, he never talks over your head or makes you feel like you're below him. I mean, if you didn't know what he done for a living, you would just think he's another, just a regular Joe. And that means a lot to me. I'm lucky to have him and you and Ben and a lot of them guys, That's what keeps me going every year. Cause by the end of these classes, I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do another year of this. And then I look and figure out what I've created and know that I can't turn it, I got to keep doing it because people count on it every year to
Right.
keep their program up, and it's important.
You've done these close to 30 years, haven't you?
Yeah, I need to look. I think it's going on 28 or 29 years, and
Okay.
I mean, anybody that's been in racing 28 or 29 years of doing anything, I guess it's pretty incredible because I was just an outsider looking in, just trying to help people. And, I've been fortunate enough to do it. I mean, I don't know how many thousands that went through it. And, I'm not saying that everybody's went through it has went out and won 20 features,
Right.
but I promise you, if you listened and you took notes, you learned something. And even guys who come to these are really, really good racers. Robert Cottom. There's some guys that win a lot of races that really probably don't need to be there. But you know what he tells me? Brian, I always learn something. Always learn something.
Yeah, it's amazing. He lives an hour from me, and I had to meet him in in Alabama for the first time. And then that goofy ass is going to come over here tomorrow, so I get to. Hopefully, he sends his better half and Leroy, the little kid. That's cool as hell. He's got this little, I believe it's his girlfriend's nephew. He's like 6, 7 years old, and they win a race. And the kid climbs up on top of the car and dances around, beats the roof down. It's pretty awesome. So Leroy's the show.
Yeah. Just to see guys, that appreciate what you do it means something. And I know that's why you do it. I mean, we met several years ago, and it's definitely not a money maker for you on the front side of things. Hopefully, the backside people realize that you know what you're talking about and you do what you say you're going to do, and you build good products. That's where it's at. But if you ain't, a lot of people are not in this industry to help you. They're in there to take your money from you. And
that is true. And that's one thing. Like what I like about your class, and I had a customer call me today from Florida. And he's doing an IMCA modified updates. And I think we're going to get him to come over to Thrash's street stock school, even though he's a mod racer. And I'm telling you that what I like about your school is, number one, it's not a sales pitch. We don't come over here and say, hey, we got this on sale for the show only today at 50% off. We don't do that BS here. We're here to teach, and that's what it is. I don't understand why you go pay big money to go to school to get a parts discount. To me, that's wrong. So,
I've always tried that. I've had a couple people through the years that stepped in, and we won't get into names, some spring makers and stuff, and it was all about them, and their product was the best. And I only done it one time with them. I couldn't, and they may have the best product, but let the people be the judge of that. You don't need to go up there and toot your own horn.
We're not there to sell a product. We're there to teach, and we're there to and to learn as well on ourselves. I mean, Brian, have I been helping you 7 or 8 years now? I don't remember.
Probably, I think I want to say 7, Dave. I believe 7. We've been all over the country together. I know.
Well, in every one of them, I promise, is something that I've learned something at every one of these classes. And it all goes down to one of your one of your instructors, Chris Hawkins, is the one that put you and I together. And I really owe Chris a hell of a lot. And he's good cat. So
yeah. Well, I was just always looking for that next guy that had a lot of knowledge and was going to bring things to the table that would help people, and then you just happened to step in, and it didn't take me long to figure out that you was the guy, that I needed. So kind of like Ben Baker. If Ben ever quit doing them, I don't know what I'd do, because he's one of the best there is, and guys like Robbie Bilbrey's,
that's a prime example there too. Ben will tell you the way it is. If someone's got something better than his, he'll tell you. And you can't beat that. I mean, that's just the best thing you can do. So,
right. Yeah, I agree with you there for sure. But yeah, I think 28 or 29 years, that I've done these every year, and we've talked about this, and I really don't care anymore, but I've had a lot of people copy them or, I can look at their layout and everything is exactly the way I've done them for years. But you know what? I'm still here doing them. Some of them ain't doing them, and some of them ain't been very successful. So,
well, that's like with my products too. There's a lot of these people that think R&D is rip off and duplicate instead of research and development. And these people come in and they knock off my stuff, and all it does is they're in and out, and all it does is just help sell me more product. So I look at it as thanks for the advertisement. Thanks for reaching out to the people I couldn't reach. And there's been some copycatters out there, but they don't do the tech videos. They don't spend the time for that. And that's something too. You can go to my YouTube page, Hammond Motorsports. There's like 420 videos on there. Some are BS videos, but a lot of them are tech videos. And then for the Racelogics, there's actually 3 videos that are listed under Racelogics. So, but
yeah, we just got to keep this deal going. Racing's hard enough, but we'll get out some good information here about midsummer, where, when, that kind of stuff.
I am going to be working on a new wide 5 front hub, rear hub for the late models. I don't know if I'm doing that solo or if I'm going to venture off with another company that I've got affiliated with, and probably be best to do a team effort between me and them. And I'll talk more in depth about that later on. I don't want to talk prematurely, but we definitely think we can come up with a better hub for these race cars too. So,
well, I know we won't get into great depth, but I know you said Crusoe, Crate Racing USA, a lot of them stock car guys wanted you to have a spindle for them, but I don't know where that's went.
That got booted already.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. That's fine because my spindle's not going to be that. It's not going to be a $200 spindle, but it is what it is. So yeah, I had some people who's going to order them from me, and then they call me back and they go, "Yeah, they got booted out already."
That's a shame. They'd rather buy 2 or 3 of them that's going to bend than buy yours. But
it is.
I get it.
Is.
Yep.
But
yep.
That's happened with a lot of sanctioning bodies. I've come up with a lot of different ideas, and I don't even go to the sanctioning bodies and ask them if it's going to be legal or not, because they throw so much of my stuff out. It's like, I ain't even going to bother it. Just release it and then see what happens.
Yeah. Well, Dave, looks like we're going to wrap up here pretty quick. I got something to eat in the house, but I appreciate you jumping on. We finally got the audio all squared away. It was my laptop, so I'm on my phone now. But like I said, we appreciate you offering your facility last year. 99% sure that's where we're going to be back again. And the Murdy's already told me they're on board, and of course we'll have the same players back, and we're looking at possibly engine guy for that class, and even Thrasher's class. His motor builder will be in the building. I just think that's another little segment that we can add to the class for guys that got motor questions. It's something that we haven't. Hendren's always helped us in the crate world, so I kind of wanted to add it in this stuff. It's just a little bit more we can add to the class. When you got somebody there that can talk.
That mid states that does Murdy's, they build a good piece, and the engine builder for Thrash, I'm pretty sure is Jay Dickens. There's nothing but quality come out of there too, and I think I got the name right. I hope I didn't screw that up, but pretty sure it's Jay down there.
Well, whoever he used, I want to say it's Brandon Hightower, but anyway.
Well, you know what? If it is Hightower, then he's pretty cool too there. So I've known Hightower for probably about 5-6 years, but I thought he was on Jay's. That's why I said it like that. And if he's on Hightower's, hey, that's just as badass. So, because hell, Hightower used to even run Busch cars.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a real deal too. So, just another element I think we can add to, what we're doing, try to get people their money's worth, but we'll get all that information out over the next few months, and, we'll be back at it again. And I know Dave will have a bunch of cool stuff between now and then to have at the class, and, we'll even do a better job.
Yeah, because I want to try to get, like, for example, when we talk about the dry shaft yokes and stuff like that, I want to try to get my hands on some, cut them apart so people could actually look inside and see them and just do stuff like that. And if I can ever get these clowns to get my water jet going, that would make things even better. But I've been trying for 5 months to get my water jet going. What a waste of time and money that is. So,
Well, hopefully it'll all come together. But Dave, I appreciate you jumping on tonight. We'll get you back on here in another month or two and kind of see where you're at. And, we should know more about what we're going to do next year by then. And I appreciate everybody jumping on tonight. I know last week was a nightmare for me. I'm not a technical guy, but we got to go on tonight. And I appreciate it. I'm going to jump off, Dave. Appreciate Sue letting you jump on here with me, and tell her I tried to ask her if I get a discount for a friend on that vet bill I'm gonna get.
She don't believe in discounts. Hell, she charges me. But that's why they're her dogs anymore. But I should have had Clark and Eddie here, but they had to go home and eat, and Edna had to go too. So, but hey, one more thing, just remember, you people that's been to Racelogic, sir, if you order off my website, put the promo code in that was said at the school. And you can use that. It's all year long. It's unlimited use. So, but
if anybody didn't know it, message me and I'll give it to you, because I'm going to know whether you went to the class or not. So, I did have a couple guys reach out, Dave, and I gave it to them. So I don't know if they bought or not, but there was a couple guys that did ask.
My point is did they pay attention in class or not? That was.
Well, that's true. I like it.
So,
all right, Dave.
Anyway, y'all take care, and I'm going to try like hell to get my car finished up and go test. I'm just a couple weeks away from my 1-year anniversary of getting hurt, so I'm hoping like hell to start racing here pretty soon. So,
sounds good.
Y'all take care, and thanks, and we'll talk.
Thanks, Dave. All right, see you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.